The final key point is about living with presence. Being fully alive in this moment instead of being lost in the noise of yesterday or the worry of tomorrow. Most people exist in a state of constant distraction. Their bodies are here, but their minds are somewhere else, wandering between regrets of the past and expectations of the future. This scattered attention drains energy and steals joy. The practice of presence is the art of returning home to yourself, of grounding your awareness in the now, where life truly happens. The present moment is the only reality that ever exists. Everything else is memory or imagination. When you learn to live here and now, peace naturally follows. The human mind is like a restless traveler. It moves from thought to thought, never staying still long enough to experience life directly. You could be sitting in a peaceful place, but the mind keeps replaying something someone said or worrying about what comes next. This constant movement disconnects you from the simple beauty that surrounds you. The sound of the wind, the rhythm of your breath, the presence of the people near you. Presence means breaking this cycle and choosing to return your attention to what is in front of you. It is about feeling life rather than merely thinking about it. Being present does not mean your life becomes perfect. It means you start to experience it deeply, without resistance. You begin to see that every moment, whether pleasant or painful, carries its own wisdom. When you eat, you truly taste your food. When you walk, you feel the ground beneath your feet. When you listen, you hear not just words but emotions behind them. This awareness transforms ordinary moments into sacred experiences. It awakens gratitude and brings clarity. You realize that happiness is not something to chase in the future, but something to awaken right now. Presence also reduces suffering, because most pain exists in thoughts, not reality. The mind creates stories about what could go wrong or what should have been different. These stories create fear and regret, but when you return to the now, they dissolve. You begin to see that in this exact moment, you are safe, breathing, and alive. The more you practice presence, the less control fear has over you. You start to live from a space of calm awareness instead of unconscious reaction. Living with presence is not something you do once. It is a continuous practice. It means reminding yourself throughout the day to pause, to breathe, and to notice. It means letting go of the urge to rush through life and instead allowing life to unfold moment by moment. When you live this way, even the simplest things become beautiful. Presence turns ordinary days into extraordinary experiences because you are no longer missing your life. You are finally living it fully, consciously, and peacefully. Forgiveness is one of the most difficult, yet liberating, acts a person can practice. The ninth key point is about releasing the weight of resentment and learning to forgive, not because others deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Holding on to anger or pain from the past keeps you chained to what hurt you. Every time you replay those memories, you relive the same emotions, allowing the past to control your present. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or excusing the behavior of others. It means choosing to free yourself from the emotional prison that resentment builds. When you forgive, you are not saying that what happened was right. You are saying that it will no longer have power over your life. Many people think forgiveness is weakness, a form of surrender or defeat. But in reality, forgiveness is strength. It takes great courage to look at pain without bitterness. It takes wisdom to rise above the desire for revenge and choose understanding instead. Anger may feel powerful at first, but over time it drains your energy and poisons your mind. It blinds you to the beauty of the present because you are constantly looking backward. The act of forgiving does not change what happened, but it changes how you relate to it. You move from being a victim of the past to a creator of peace in the present. Forgiveness begins within. Before you can forgive others, you must learn to forgive yourself. For the mistakes you made, for the times you stayed silent, for the moments you didn't know better. Many people carry guilt that silently eats away at their self-worth. They replay their failures and judge themselves harshly. But life is a journey of learning, and every mistake carries a lesson. When you forgive yourself, you open the door to healing. You stop punishing yourself for being human, and that self-compassion becomes the foundation for forgiving others. Forgiving others does not mean you have to allow them back into your life or trust them again. It means you let go of the emotional hold they have on you. You no longer need to replay the story of what they did or why. You understand that people act according to their level of awareness at that moment. Just as you have grown and learned, others are also on their own journey of awakening. Seeing this truth helps soften your heart and bring understanding where anger once lived. When forgiveness becomes a habit, your spirit feels lighter. You begin to walk through life without bitterness clouding your vision. Your mind becomes clearer, your relationships become more peaceful, and your heart becomes more open. Forgiveness is not a single act, it is a daily practice. A decision to choose peace over pain again and again. It is the quiet strength of letting go, the wisdom of compassion, and the realization that freeing others is ultimately freeing yourself. Gratitude is the quiet force that transforms how you experience life. It is not about ignoring pain or pretending that everything is perfect, but about recognizing the beauty that still exists within imperfection. The eighth key point is about cultivating gratitude, not as a reaction to what happens, but as a way of being. Most people wait for something good to happen before they feel thankful. They link gratitude to achievement, comfort, or success. But true gratitude begins when you can appreciate life, even in its simplest and most difficult moments. It is seeing light in the ordinary and meaning in the challenges. Gratitude turns every situation into a lesson and every day into a gift. When you live without gratitude, the mind constantly focuses on what is missing. No matter how much you achieve, it never feels enough. You keep chasing something new. A better job, a bigger house, more recognition, believing that happiness is just beyond the next goal. But this endless chase only deepens the feeling of emptiness. Gratitude breaks this pattern. It shifts your attention from what you lack to what you already have. It makes you realize that peace is not found in having more, but in appreciating the present moment fully. The air you breathe, the food you eat, the people who care for you, and even the challenges that make you stronger. All of these are reasons to be grateful. Gratitude also transforms your relationship with pain. When life becomes difficult, most people react with anger or frustration. They ask, "Why is this happening to me?" But through gratitude, the question changes to, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective does not erase pain, but it gives it purpose. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity to grow. Every loss teaches the value of presence, and every disappointment guides you closer to understanding yourself. Gratitude turns suffering into strength by helping you see that even pain has its place in shaping your path. Living with gratitude also changes how you treat others. You become more compassionate, patient, and kind because you stop taking people for granted. You recognize their presence as part of your blessings, and your interactions become more genuine. Gratitude humbles the ego and softens the heart. It reminds you that life is interconnected and that every act of kindness, no matter how small, creates a ripple of positivity in the world. When gratitude becomes your constant attitude, you stop searching for reasons to be happy because you realize happiness is not a destination. It is a choice. You wake up each day knowing that life is fragile, unpredictable, and temporary, yet still beautiful. You stop living from a place of scarcity and start living from abundance. Gratitude does not change your circumstances. It changes the way you see them. And when your vision changes, so does your entire experience of life. Growth is a journey that often hides behind discomfort. Many people want to evolve, to reach new levels of peace, wisdom, and success, yet they resist the very experiences that would lead them there. The seventh key point is about embracing discomfort as a natural part of transformation. True growth does not happen in comfort zones. It happens when you step beyond what feels safe and familiar. The moments that test your patience, challenge your confidence, or shake your beliefs are the same moments that shape your strength. Every challenge you face is not meant to destroy you, but to refine you. Discomfort is life's way of showing that change is taking place. The human instinct is to avoid pain and seek comfort, but comfort often becomes a silent prison. It keeps you where things are predictable, where your ego feels secure, but your spirit stays stagnant. The process of growth requires friction, like how fire refines metal or how pressure turns coal into diamond. The same principle applies to your life. The challenges you face are the fire and pressure that awaken your potential. When you start to see discomfort not as an enemy, but as a teacher, your entire perspective changes. You begin to welcome struggle with awareness, knowing it carries the seeds of wisdom and evolution. The mind often resists discomfort because it equates difficulty with failure. But when you observe nature, you see that nothing grows without tension. A seed must break before it becomes a tree. The sky must darken before the rain can fall. Similarly, you must go through internal breaking points to discover new strength. Each time you move through fear or uncertainty, your inner capacity expands. What once scared you becomes manageable, and what once felt impossible becomes normal. Growth is not about avoiding pain, but learning to face it with calmness and understanding. Discomfort also reveals truth. It strips away illusions and shows you what truly matters. In difficult moments, you discover who you are without the masks of convenience or approval. You see what you value, what you stand for, and what you are willing to fight for. It deepens your relationship with yourself because you meet the parts of you that only appear in struggle. Resilience, patience, compassion, and clarity. These are not born in comfort, they are born in storms. When you stop running from discomfort, you start walking toward growth consciously. You take each challenge as an opportunity to evolve rather than a reason to retreat. The pain you once feared becomes your guide, showing you where you need to grow. Over time, you realize that every difficult experience left behind a lesson, every setback built endurance, and every moment of discomfort brought you closer to becoming who you were meant to be. Growth and discomfort are inseparable. The more you accept this truth, the more peaceful and powerful your journey becomes. Most people move through life chasing control, yet the truth is that control is an illusion. No matter how carefully we plan, life always finds a way to surprise us. Things shift, people change, circumstances unfold in ways we never imagined. The sixth, and perhaps most powerful lesson, is learning to surrender to the flow of life. To release the constant need to control every outcome, and instead trust the rhythm of existence. When you surrender, you are not giving up, you are letting go of resistance. You stop fighting against what is and begin working with it. This surrender is not weakness, it is deep wisdom. It is the understanding that the universe moves with intelligence far greater than the human mind can comprehend. The mind wants certainty. It craves predictability and security because uncertainty feels like danger. But life, by its very nature, is uncertain. The harder you try to force it into your design, the more frustrated you become. Surrender is the act of softening into this uncertainty and allowing life to guide you instead of constantly pushing against it. This does not mean you stop setting goals or making efforts. It means you release attachment to how things must happen. You still walk your path with intention, but you remain open to change, trusting that every twist and turn has a purpose. When you practice surrender, peace replaces anxiety. You stop overthinking and start observing. You stop asking why things happen and start learning from what they bring. Sometimes life delays something not because you are unworthy, but because you are being prepared. Other times it takes something away because it no longer serves your growth. Surrender allows you to see these moments not as punishments, but as redirections. You begin to recognize a quiet intelligence behind the chaos, a hidden order within disorder. This attitude of surrender also transforms your inner world. You stop trying to control people or outcomes to protect yourself from pain. You start to trust that even if things do not go your way, you will still find meaning and growth within them. It teaches patience, humility, and acceptance. It helps you stay calm amid uncertainty and grounded in the present moment. You begin to realize that the more you release your grip, the lighter life becomes. The art of surrender is the art of faith. Faith not in something outside of you, but in the flow of life itself. When you surrender, you are no longer at war with reality. You are at peace with it. You can move with life instead of against it, adapt without fear, and evolve without resistance. In surrender, you find true strength, a strength that comes not from control, but from trust. This is where serenity is born, not in forcing life to match your desires, but in allowing life to unfold exactly as it should. Detachment is often misunderstood as indifference, but in truth, it is one of the highest forms of inner strength. To be detached does not mean you stop caring or feeling. It means you stop being controlled by what you cannot control. It is the ability to remain calm in success and failure, in praise and criticism, in gain and loss. Detachment allows you to see life as it is, not as you wish it to be. It gives you the power to stay balanced, no matter what happens around you. When you stop needing constant approval or recognition, your mind becomes free, and your energy begins to move toward what truly matters: your growth, peace, and purpose. Most suffering comes from attachment. You attach yourself to outcomes, to people, to opinions, and to the desire to be seen in a certain way. When things do not go according to your expectations, you feel hurt or betrayed. But life is never meant to follow our scripts. Everything changes, everything passes, and everyone evolves. Detachment is not running away from life, but learning to move with it. It is flowing with the natural rhythm of change without clinging to what was or fearing what will come. When you practice detachment, you begin to understand that happiness is not found in controlling the world, but in mastering your response to it. To be detached is to live with awareness. You do not allow your emotions to dictate your actions, and you do not allow temporary situations to steal your peace. When someone praises you, you receive it with humility, and when someone criticizes you, you listen without being shaken. You learn to see both as part of the same dance. One inflates the ego, and the other deflates it. Detachment keeps you centered between the two. You start to act not for applause, but for purpose, not for validation, but for truth. This shift in focus transforms the way you experience life. Detachment also strengthens relationships. When you stop clinging to people out of fear of losing them, love becomes purer. It turns from possession into appreciation. You love without demanding, you care without controlling, and you support without expecting. This kind of love brings peace instead of anxiety, because it is based on freedom, not dependence. You realize that everything and everyone in your life is a gift, not a guarantee. As you deepen your sense of detachment, the external world loses its power over you. Wins and losses no longer define you. You learn to enjoy what you have and let go when the time comes. You stop being a slave to desire and become a master of acceptance. Detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. It is seeing things as they are and allowing life to unfold naturally. In this state, you find unshakable peace, the kind that no circumstance can disturb, because it is rooted in your understanding of impermanence and truth. Being misunderstood is one of the most painful experiences for the human heart. It triggers the fear of rejection and the need to explain or defend yourself. Yet, the truth is that no one will ever fully understand your path because no one has lived your life, felt your emotions, or walked through your inner battles. Every person sees the world through their own filters of experience and belief, so expecting others to understand your journey completely is unrealistic. The courage to be misunderstood is the courage to keep walking your path even when others question, doubt, or criticize you. It is the strength to stay true to your vision while the world tries to fit you into its limited patterns. Most people live within the boundaries of what is familiar and accepted. When you step outside those boundaries, you challenge their comfort. They might not reject you out of hatred, but out of confusion. Your choices reflect what they fear: freedom, change, or authenticity. Their misunderstanding is not a reflection of your truth. It is a reflection of their own limitations. Understanding this frees you from taking things personally. You stop wasting energy trying to convince others, and you start using that energy to deepen your own growth. Courage in this sense is quiet. It does not seek recognition or applause. It is the silent determination to keep going despite being doubted. Many of the greatest thinkers, artists, and spiritual teachers were misunderstood in their time. They were laughed at, ignored, or even attacked because their vision was beyond what others could comprehend. But they continued because they understood something vital. Truth does not need validation. The world often catches up to those who stay faithful to their calling long after their time. When you embrace the possibility of being misunderstood, you also learn humility. You stop trying to be right all the time and start focusing on being real. You realize that not everyone is meant to walk beside you, and that is perfectly fine. Some will misunderstand you and still respect you. Others will criticize you because they cannot see what you see. Your task is not to make them understand, but to remain anchored in your clarity. Over time, your consistency will speak louder than your explanations. There is deep peace in accepting that not everyone will understand your choices. It allows you to live without apology. You express what you feel, do what you believe in, and allow others to hold their opinions without resistance. This is where spiritual maturity begins. When you no longer fight to be seen or accepted, but simply continue to walk your path with sincerity. The courage to be misunderstood is the courage to be authentic in a world that often rewards imitation. It is the quiet confidence of knowing that truth needs no audience, only faith and perseverance. The world today is overflowing with noise. Every direction you turn, there is something demanding your attention. Opinions, notifications, arguments, and endless information. People are constantly told what to think, what to buy, what to believe, and what to become. In this constant flood of noise, it becomes difficult to hear your own voice. The mind gets tangled in the chaos of the outside world and forgets the language of silence. Yet silence is where true wisdom grows. It is in stillness that the deepest understanding begins to rise, and you can finally see what is real beyond the distractions. When you are surrounded by external noise, your thoughts are not your own. They are borrowed, influenced, and shaped by the environment around you. You begin to live reactively instead of consciously. The loudness of the world drowns the whisper of your intuition, the inner guidance that quietly tells you what feels right or wrong. To reconnect with this inner compass, you must learn to turn down the volume of the outside world and return to silence. This does not mean you must isolate yourself from life, but it means creating moments of stillness within it. Silence is not an escape. It is a way of returning home to yourself. When you sit in silence, at first it feels uncomfortable. The mind starts to run in circles, bringing up worries, memories, and fears. But if you remain patient, something magical happens. The storm of thoughts begins to slow, and underneath it all, you discover a space that is calm and clear. That space is your natural state. Peaceful, aware, and free from confusion. In that silence, answers that once seemed distant become obvious. You begin to understand not through thinking, but through feeling and knowing. Silence becomes your teacher, showing you what the noise was hiding all along. This inner silence also transforms how you deal with others. When you cultivate stillness, you stop reacting to every word or emotion around you. You listen more deeply, you speak with intention, and you act with clarity. You no longer need to prove yourself or argue to be right, because silence has already shown you that truth needs no defense. The quiet mind sees things as they are, without distortion. It is able to make decisions that are not based on fear or pressure, but on understanding. The more you practice silence, the stronger your inner peace becomes. The world will continue to be noisy, people will continue to speak, and life will remain unpredictable. But your center will stay unshaken. You will move through chaos without losing calm, because silence has rooted you in awareness. In that space of stillness, you remember who you are, and that is where real power begins. Not in noise, not in opinion, but in silence that speaks louder than words. True freedom is not found in the absence of limits, but in the presence of authenticity. Many people confuse freedom with the ability to do anything they want, whenever they want, yet that kind of freedom often leads to chaos and emptiness. The deeper kind of freedom comes when your actions, words, and thoughts align with who you truly are inside. It is about living without masks, without pretending, without bending yourself to fit into shapes that please others. When you are honest about your values, your passions, and your truth, a natural peace settles within you. You no longer waste energy trying to maintain appearances because you are living in harmony with your essence. In a world that constantly pushes people to compare and compete, authenticity becomes rare. From a young age, society teaches you to fit in, to follow the crowd, and to seek validation. You learn to measure success through the eyes of others and define happiness by external standards. But as you grow older, you begin to feel the quiet pain of disconnection. The more you chase approval, the further you drift from yourself. That is when life feels heavy, because you are carrying an identity that is not your own. The courage to be authentic begins when you stop asking, "What will they think?" and start asking, "What do I truly feel?" Being authentic requires awareness. You must observe yourself and see where your actions come from. Are you doing something because it feels right, or because you are afraid of disapproval? Are you saying yes to things that drain you, just to seem kind or agreeable? When you recognize these patterns, you gain the power to change them. Authenticity does not mean being stubborn or selfish. It means being real. It means honoring your emotions, speaking your truth with kindness, and making choices that reflect your deepest values. When you live this way, life becomes simple. You no longer need to impress anyone or explain yourself. Your energy stops scattering in different directions and begins to flow naturally. You attract people and situations that match your real vibration because truth recognizes truth. Even if fewer people stand beside you, the ones who remain will connect with you deeply. You begin to experience a sense of inner stability, a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are enough as you are. Authenticity is the bridge between peace and power. It makes you fearless because you have nothing to hide. You are not trapped in the opinions of others, and your sense of worth is no longer dependent on praise or criticism. You can look into your own reflection and feel content. That is the essence of real freedom. Not the ability to do everything, but the strength to be yourself in a world that constantly tries to make you someone else. Life is too short to live under the weight of others' opinions. Most of the time, we stop ourselves from doing what we truly want, not because it's impossible, but because we fear being judged, misunderstood, or rejected. Yet, the truth is simple and liberating. Nobody really cares as much as you think they do. People are too busy dealing with their own fears, their own insecurities, and their own struggles to spend time thinking about you. What you wear, what you do, what you pursue. It might cross their mind for a second, but it quickly fades away. The world moves on, and so should you. The moment you understand this, a great freedom enters your life. You begin to live your way, not the way others expect you to. The illusion of judgment is one of the strongest barriers that keep people from living freely. Many individuals spend their entire lives trying to avoid criticism or disapproval from others. They move cautiously, speak carefully, and often silence their true desires just to maintain a good image. Yet if we look deeply, we will see that this fear is based on something unreal. Most people are far too absorbed in their own lives to think about you for long. They might notice you, comment, or even criticize, but their attention is temporary. Soon they return to their own world, their own worries, and their own insecurities. The truth is that no one cares as much as you imagine they do, and realizing this is the beginning of true freedom. The human mind creates stories, and one of its favorite stories is that everyone is watching and judging us. When you walk into a room, you feel eyes on you, and immediately your inner critic wakes up. You begin to question how you look, how you speak, or how you move. You try to appear confident, intelligent, or successful. But all of this effort is based on illusion. Those same people you think are judging you are likely doing the same thing. Worrying about how they appear to others. It becomes a chain of self-conscious minds, each one afraid of the same shadow that doesn't truly exist. When you start to observe life more carefully, you see how quickly people's attention shifts. One moment they care deeply about what someone did or said, and the next moment it is forgotten. The mind is restless and constantly searching for new things to occupy it. Understanding this helps you realize that the weight of others' opinions is nothing more than a flicker of passing thought. What you thought was judgment is merely a reflection of your own fear being projected outward. Living under the illusion of judgment drains energy and steals joy. You begin to live for the eyes of others instead of your own heart. You make decisions not because they feel right, but because they seem acceptable. You shape your personality to fit expectations, and in doing so, you lose the natural rhythm of your spirit. This is why so many people feel exhausted without understanding why. Because they are carrying the invisible burden of pleasing everyone. Freedom begins the moment you stop giving so much power to imaginary critics. You realize that your life belongs to you, not to the opinions of others. When you free yourself from this illusion, you start to move with lightness. You speak honestly, act naturally, and live fully. People might still talk, but it no longer affects you because you see the truth behind it. Every person is fighting their own inner battle, and their opinions often say more about their world than about you. Once you understand that, you stop living in fear and start living in peace.